Dance of the Three Kingdoms 2 is the first game out of 3 from the franchise of the same name released for the Super Nintendo. I believe it would be considered something one of my friends would call a grand strategy game, which is really overwhelming for me because as soon as I got into the first scenario of this game, the first thing I thought was, oh hey, these are Dynasty Warriors characters. I have to be very honest with you at this point. I spent over an hour and a half reading this game's manual and a GameFAQs guide that I'm going to link in the description, and I've played for about 30 minutes. And I still only barely understand how this game works. This is because, in order to play this game effectively, you have to internalize what more than 20 unique actions you can take do, in addition to understanding pages and pages of numeric values that are attributes of the provinces and generals you control. I simply cannot spend the 1 hour I typically spend to get to know these games to even give an educated opinion on the game. I will need you to bear with me, as a person can only store so much information in their head, and I currently have in my head a functional understanding of the rules for almost every major trading card game in print right now, my love for my wife, a rough understanding of a dozen programming languages, and the names of most of the people I know. You know, all the important stuff. So just a warning, if you want to play this game, you are really going to have to work for it. This game's phases are split into months, and each month you can have every general that you control take an action, and those actions are split based on what exactly they accomplish in terms of your ultimate goal of taking over every province in China in each scenario. I'm not going to cover everything here as that would be far too boring, but actions are split into military, such as recruiting and training soldiers, managing aspects of your province like cultivating land and protecting it against flooding, appeasing or taxing your province's citizens, war-based actions like attacking and taking provinces by moving generals, and spy actions, which typically sabotage your opponents. I actually forgot to mention in my script, you can also take diplomatic actions, such as allying yourself to a general or marrying another general. As far as I understand, most of the positive diplomacy actions are not as great game theory-wise, just considering you will have to betray and fight any leader to actually win the game, because you have to conquer every space to win. This game is incredibly complicated and feature-rich, and requires a lot of memorization to play effectively, or I guess you could read what every action does before you take one. There are 14 games in this series, but it seems like a lot of people look back on this particular game pretty positively, and this game seems pretty cool to me, but I've got 600 more Super Nintendo games to play, so I can't spend the next month dedicating my time to remembering how every action works and how to manage the gold and rice in each province to make sure I don't get wrecked in a war. My judgment of this game is gonna be, it is for a very specific type of person, and if you are that person, I bet this game would be pretty cool to you, at least for the historical aspect of it. Unfortunately, I am not that person, mainly because I don't really have the time for it. I like complicated board games generally, and that's effectively what this is. I think the best way to learn the game might be to just set the first scenario to like 6 players or something, and you can try to figure out what sequence of actions might actually be the most successful and see if you can get any of those leaders of the 6 that you start playing by yourself to win. That's probably what I would do if I was going to try learning this game earnestly. Either that or spend a lot of time as one leader losing until you actually figure out the mechanics. If you like this video, please like it, and if you like the idea of listening to my take on every Super Nintendo game released in chronological order after playing it for an hour, please subscribe to continue on my journey through the Super Nintendo's library. I've also got a playlist with everything I've done in this series so far if that's interesting to you. Next time we will be talking about Super Soccer, a much easier game to explain than this one, so I'll see you next time. Have a good day!